Hello and welcome back to Even More News, the first, the only news podcast. My name is Katy Stoll.
Hey there, Katy Stoll. My name is different. It's Cody Johnston, but I'm happy to be here with you and Jonathan, who is also here.
Hi, I made it.
Jonathan and his cold are also here.
It's been a rough one. I wanted to say I sound like Tom Waits, but I do not sound like Tom Waits.
You sound like Tom Waits. We can run with that.
It has not improved my voice at all, but I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I sound different today.
I didn't mean to put your cold on blast and just highlight it, but it is a part of it.
It's unavoidable.
You've got a cold. It's unavoidable.
I put my cold on blast. I would like if maybe it will respond to harsh language as it has not to anything else.
Speaking of putting things on blast, I feel called out by this first holiday. I do. I feel called out by it. I feel targeted. Friday, November 15th is National Clean Out Your Refrigerator Day. Have you cleaned out your refrigerator? Did you?
Yeah. Well, I didn't, but my household has a clean fridge now. More organization and drawers and things. Good for me because it happened.
Yeah.
It's great. It helps my brain so much to have things in its right place.
Totally. I find
she did a great job.
I've been better about cleaning out my fridge. There's not like a whole ecosystem in the back anymore, but I have to be on top of it. In general, I need to get organized. We're probably going to get our first snow this week, so maybe that'll be a day for me to clean out the cupboards.
Well, you got to go outside for the first snow.
How you guys doing, other than being sick? Oh. Emotionally speaking. I'm transitioning to talking about the news here. You're both coughing.
You know.
You're good.
I've got a lot of mixed, not even mixed,
Yeah.
It's not good. We'll get to it. It's really not good. I've got a lot of thoughts about how we are talking about everything and how people are being treated and how those people are being treated. Well, do you want to talk about it?
Sure. This has to do with the things that we were talking about yesterday at the shoot?
I mean, all the time.
I know. We've got lots of news to cover, but I think that talking about what's happening in people's reactions and how we're treating each other is an important conversation, and I'm definitely open to having it.
I do sympathize with the position of, don't cut everybody out of your life just because they voted for Donald Trump. And don't abuse these people necessarily. It's hard to navigate because all the people talking about it are just names on a screen, just saying these words. I don't know that relationship. I don't know who they are. I don't know why they were cut off. I don't know. And there are reasons people voted for him that aren't that they love what a shitty fucking evil, monstrous rapist and fascist he is. But he is those things.
Right.
And so I am still really grappling with this sort of sympathy of you don't want to demonize everybody. But he is those things, and he's been very clearly those things for many, many, many years. And we've talked many times about all the things that he will be doing. And even now we're seeing some people be like, oh, wait, I didn't think he would do that. Well, he said he would. And we knew that he would at least try to do those things. And so there's this element of, we don't want to demonize all these people and cut everybody out of your life, your family and stuff. But there is this sort of I don't want to describe it just as this sort of abusive relationship, but is this sort of undertone, at least in the broader arena and discourse of Republicans being oh, they're disinviting me from Thanksgiving, this. Okay, you might be kind of abusive in this relationship. You definitely support the abuser and the abusive party, and they won. And now they're but you gotta listen to me. You gotta understand me.
Yeah.
And that is kind of an abuse tactic. And I'm not saying it's true for everybody or every relationship, but there is sort of that going on. And I just I want to listen to these people and understand more. But at a certain point there is But this is also the reality of it. This is a choice that was made. And sometimes there are ramifications for choices that you make. I don't know these individual people. Maybe this person has tried to say over and over and over and over again, you're voting against me. You're voting against my existence. And they don't care, or they were, I just don't know what those are.
I totally get what you're saying. First off, I appreciate you saying all of that, and I agree with you. For context, and maybe I'll do another first off before that first off. And say, we're not going to spend the whole episode talking about this, and it's not going to be the dominating factor of it, but of all of our conversations moving forward. He's referencing a continuation of conversations we have had, stuff that I've seen online, stuff that's been directed at me, because I am in this camp of, I don't think that the best path forward for us is to immediately say and make the assumption that every single person that voted for Donald Trump is inherently evil for some reason. There's been a lot of unfollow me now if you voted for Trump. There's been a lot of stuff, which I also acknowledge and agree with everything you said. This isn't a blanket philosophy of mine. If there is somebody that is unreasonable, if there's somebody that's abusive, if you are a marginalized person and you're literally threatened, there is absolutely no reason for you to put yourself in a situation that you're causing mental, emotional, physical damage at all, full stop. And there are a lot of us that are able to have conversations with certain types of people. There are a lot of us that don't want to lose family members, that don't want to lose relationships. I've lost relationships. I regret that. People that I've missed that I grew up with as a child, and in 2016 I cut out. And now I'm kind of too far past. Like, they don't even want to talk to me. And also specifically the person I'm thinking about, I don't feel would be a productive conversation, so I'm not reaching out. And there's other people that I have had really productive conversations. I've heard a lot of like, we've tried that already, it didn't work. I'm voting against my rights, and I hold space for that. And I mean, I have a whole plethora of thoughts about this. You can make movement on certain issues, but maybe they aren't changing their ultimate mind this election. But you're, making progress on trans issues with somebody, which is somebody that something specifically that I can say that I have made progress with individuals on certain issues. But, and I could be naive, I could be misguided. I am not looking forward to, but I know that I'm in a position to continue having conversations with some of these people as we see the effects of Donald Trump in office. And already, I am having conversations that were like, I didn't realize this. And instead of being spiteful to them, I'm coming back with like, thank you for admitting that. Let's keep talking about this, and I understand that I am in a position to do that, and not everybody is. But it's hard to see other people getting really piled. I know that I put myself out there. I am a public figure, and there's a certain amount that is understandable directed at me, but I've also seen it directed at just random people on the internet, and seeing them piled on, thousands of people piling on. Like, you are a racist. What are you? You're privileged. And this is this person saying like, I am a person of color. I just don't think that I need to cut out everybody in my life. There are people that I feel are good people, and I want to work through this with them. And I keep thinking about like, so Donald Trump is going to be dead in 15 years, most likely, and 20 years, God willing, sooner than that. But your family is still going to be there. And, I see lots of people saying like, I desperately miss my best friend. I think about her every day. And I'm like, well, maybe you don't need to. Maybe if you extended an olive branch when you're ready, maybe you could make more progress this time. I don't know. That is an individual conversation for you guys to have. And I respect your decisions. And if you are capable of having it, I don't think that makes you a bad person. I don't think I'm a bad person for wanting to try to continue to understand. And that is the other part of it. I want to understand because I don't want to be surprised. And maybe if we understood each other more, maybe we could actually come up with policies that did appeal to other people. And maybe not. Maybe that's naive, but that's what's getting me through right now. And I really don't want to be called a racist because that's like a thing that I'm attempting. But anyway.
First of all, I have two first offs.
Yeah.
My first off is did come up with policies that the majority of Trump supporters like. Trump supporters are typically very down with a lot of quote-unquote Democrat policies. There is a media and messaging apparatus that is built to shut that down. I'm not suggesting that we, write off half the country. I do think more people fall into the bucket of being ignorant in some ways of what this all means rather than evil, rather than wanting the malicious thing to happen. But I do think it could be very frustrating because of people who are like, I'm cutting off my Trump supporting family. And they're saying, well, you voted for Kamala Harris. I'm not cutting you off because of that. And I wish, because I don't have family like that, I would say, like, is it feasible in your mind, this would be me talking to a Trump supporter, is it feasible in your mind that there could be a candidate that is so beyond the pale, so awful in terms of everything he represents and wants to do, that it would cause you, like, genuine, like, fear to know
that's
that
a great
people
question.
who are close to you are voting for? And then the issue would be convincing them that Donald Trump is that person, and that's the real hard thing. Because I assume people would say, yes, there is if a fascist, bigoted monster was running for president, then yeah, you'd have great concern about that. But then you'd have to be like, Donald Trump is that.
He is that, right? That's what I keep coming back to, is this sort of like trying to understand people. I understand the impetus for that. That's never going to be what they try to do. They're not willing. They don't seem to be willing to try to understand the other side in the same way. It's always, I keep coming back to sort of like abusive relationship of like, well, fuck your feelings, but my feelings, you need to try to understand me. And I know that's not everybody. But I keep coming back to, like, these stories of like, going out and like seeing people like crying in public and like really feeling like that, like there is real fear and real grief, and there are real reasons for that to exist. And I keep thinking about, well, if Kamala Harris won, they wouldn't be reacting like that at all. They would be angry and they'd be whining about a stolen election, but no one would be crying over Kamala Harris winning. No Trump supporter would be like, oh my God, we're gonna like, I just don't see that happening. And it's not because like the left is too emotional and they're very stoic.
Right.
It's because these things don't affect them in the same way. They don't throw.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a completely different dynamic that's going on there. And it's that conservative thing of like, oh, so you just don't like when people get together with their friends and do plans. No, that's how you're describing a conspiracy. Like, it's like this vague description, like, oh, you just like, you're cutting them off for a vote. Well, it's not just a vote. It's all this other stuff that you don't recognize as being a problem, because that's not how you view the actual like ramifications of this. Like, no one's gonna be, you know what I mean?
I do. I totally do. I get it, and I agree with everything being said. And I think that the mystery of this disconnect is a little, it feels important to me, and I might not find a satisfying answer. And I think it's a different answer for a lot of people. I have lots of thoughts on everything that's said, but I don't want to spend too much time talking about this because it's going to be a continued conversation. And we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Trump's cabinet, we've got a flurry of nasty, terrible, disgusting news to talk about. Starting with Jesus fucking Christ.
I just added this because he is nominating RFK Jr. for Secretary of Health and Human Services. So get those vaccines now, folks. I don't know if he's going to be able to get like Tdap shots off the market. He is going to want kids to not get as many vaccines as they do because probably he's never experienced polio. Has he? Has he experienced polio?
There's a small chance. Yeah, that's what we expected, though, right? Like, yeah, that's not a surprise. It's not good.
Start cooking your meat real well. Well, I guess that's not. Is that under the Health and Human Services, or is that going to be under different kinds of?
I think he gets FDA stuff as well as CDC.
Yeah, all you MAGA folk, all you right wingers out there who kept saying, "You're not going to make me eat the bugs." You're going to eat so many bugs. I'm so sorry. There's going to be so many bugs in your food, you guys. You're going to eat all the bugs.
Well, there's like a weird balance here, right? Because he also wants good things in the sense that he wants people to eat less processed food.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do about that? Because we've talked about this before. Michelle Obama also wanted people to eat less processed food, and people went nuts on her.
Well, she was communist.
And everyone else in your administration wants to deregulate the FDA. You want to regulate more by getting rid of the ultra processing. So there's like a balance here that I'm not sure Donald Trump has thought out at all. Because he's like, Trump said he didn't want to deal with it. He's like, I want RFK Jr. to go wild on health. Okay.
Yeah, this is something. There's a quote or conversation recently about this sort of aspect. Talking with JD Vance about basically putting people in charge of departments who are the enemy of those departments.
Yeah.
Trump is like, how do you do that? Like, what do you do? And JD's like, you just do it. And that's what we're seeing with all of these appointments. People who are hostile to, and it was to a degree that was the case in his first term. But this is really just aggressively like, you don't think these departments should exist, and so you're going to make them even worse. And Trump doesn't care really about these. Like, all these people are very ideologically mixed, and not in the way of like, oh, I like hearing information from all sides. It's like, no, they have their one thing that they want to do, and he doesn't care that that's the one thing they want to do. He's like, okay, you go do that. Oh, you want to destroy this okay, you go do that. He's not thinking about that at all. He's just sort of picking people who are hostile and loyal for various reasons, which I'm sure we'll get into, and setting them free. Because he doesn't want the job. He just didn't want to lose or be in prison.
Just speaking a little broader, it's been a little dizzying the last couple of days. I mean, this is just a slew of absolutely fucking wild nominations all at once. So you're not even having time to process the ridiculous of one before the next wild nominee comes down the pipeline. And, you know, I guess he really coming in hot here, and he's got control of Congress. So I don't know. It's slim in the House. There's some of them that I think
unless he picks like more senators to his cabinet.
Well, I know. But Matt Gaetz is, as Attorney General.
Yeah, this is the one that might
not
get held up the most, just because most people in Washington hate him, including Republicans. I
have a perhaps naive hope that a bunch of the people that held their nose and did it anyway, if they don't know who Matt Gaetz is yet, they will soon. And I have a very naive hope that will be very off-putting for them, that people will be regretting their votes sooner than later.
Yeah, he's a known opportunist and sex pest who should not be the Attorney General.
Alleged rapist and sex trafficker.
I mean, yeah, alleged, but we have him. Don't we have him on camera in his Florida office making fake IDs for underage girls? Isn't that part of the evidence here? Am I pulling that out of my...
His buddies, I think, was
his
the
buddies,
one on camera doing that.
Office.
But
other members of the House say he would show them like photos of girls he was going to meet up with, and how he would pound erectile dysfunction medication so he could go all night. He is a creep and a deviant.
And he's currently being investigated.
Well,
or am I wrong about that?
The House Ethics Committee is days away, or was days away, from releasing their report, but he has since resigned. He resigned yesterday from the House.
Perfect timing, huh?
So they're not going to officially release the report, although hopefully someone will leak it, because it is apparently quite damning given his crime.
It sounds quite damning from...
They need to release it.
The reports. I do have... Even if they do like let this guy through, I do have optimism about that. I think it's the kind of thing that will get leaked. People love leaking during Trump's administration.
We're back to it already.
They do.
I forgot how dumb this all was. Did you guys because now that we're back into all the leaks, all the like backstabbing, right? Members of his team are already trying to backstab Elon and this stuff. And it's just like, it's dizzying and exhausting, and it's so stupid.
It's ramped up too. It's really, it's one of those, like, it's ramped up in stupidity and its aggressively evil agenda and all the things. Like, this is how it goes. It's just like, yeah, this is like your shitty fascist regime of freaks who fucking hate each other. And it's already happening. It's not good, but
it will be a
stupider.
Test to see how easy it is for him to get these people through.
Well, he's good at tests. Camera TV.
If Matt Gaetz sails through this process, that will be a real chilling moment for us, because it's going to be a test of what is his control over these people. What's the inflection point? What's the point of no return here? I mean, we're past it, but
We're past
we're past it. I'm struggling to find the right colloquialism here, but
is there a line for any of them? No, they fall in line, but they don't have one.
I mean, and it's just wild because these are people that throw out accusations of pedophilia all the time. That Democrats and being pedophiles.
It's the thing that they did.
And you have one with the credible accusation and apparently damning report coming out, and you are nominating this man.
Also the president.
I know. Well, that's what I was about to say. It's especially chilling. It's extra chilling that the person that's been investigated for his sex crimes is nominating a person being investigated for sex crimes.
Yeah, for this position too, like for the attorney general. I
don't
well
have
said,
a lot
Cody. Well
of
said.
confidence in Senate Republicans. Obviously, I do think Trump will be taken aback if they're like, wait a minute, let's ask this guy questions and maybe not vote for him. I think it might be a very contentious confirmation hearing that they may still fold. I don't expect them to have much of a backbone. I would be surprised if they say, no, you got to send someone who's at least qualified for the job. They could be scum.
You would be surprised if they reject Matt Gaetz?
I would be surprised if they reject any of these people. A little bit. Like, I just think they're going to get bullied. I think they are afraid. I think they're afraid of Trump and his
they know what happens.
Hardcore fans and what it represents. There was that guy, I think it was Republican Senator Mike Simpson, who was asked, is Matt Gaetz qualified? And he's like, why are you asking me a question like that? Like a shitty quote. I don't know what the quote was. Like, why'd you ask me a question?
Are you shitting me? Why are you asking me that? Yeah. Now I'm going to get investigated.
Yeah, he's like, no, he's not qualified, but now I'll probably get investigated, right? Like, they know
that is the
what
mindset
we're in for.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
The Republican senators are like, this is the world we live in now, where if you go against Trump.
Yeah, they all know. That's why these people are getting the positions, because they're the most loyal. They're the most loyal,
for sure.
And everybody else is too scared to not be loyal enough to not be attacked by him, because every time anybody stands up to him, he attacks them until they lose their jobs, and then they have to pretend to be Democrats. Like, that is just how it's always been, and it's worse now.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know I started this by saying I have this naive hope. He's the one that I think maybe people will stand up and say no. If we remember the last time, it took a while for people to find the ability to do that. It'll probably be around the approach of midterms, especially people who are in vulnerable seats. And you'll start to see people have courage.
I decided I wasn't going to be tricked by, because like after January 6th, when they didn't put an end to this, I was like, then if he gets back in, he's going to at least think he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Like, if you fool me once, you fool me, you can't get fooled again, as another former president once said.
Yeah, don't believe them. They're all craven. They did this in 2016. Oh my God! So many Republicans. Anyone who votes for Donald Trump is voting for a fascist. Well, here we are now.
Oh, totally.
And January 6th obviously was a huge thing. Everyone was like, "Oh my God! This is not who we are, good sir." They either fall in line, they all fall back in line, or, and here's another bad part about it, is that anybody who is gonna like show courage will lose their job, and that's one less person with semblance of a conscience in there. It's this whole first 2 years is going to be a process of whittling down the government, getting rid of people who are ideologically opposed in some way. They're going to they're already like trying to determine like, are you a leftist? They're going to get rid of anybody who's mildly liberal. And then anybody who questions them, they're going to get rid of them too. And so it's going to get smaller and smaller and more freaks who backstab each other more and more and hate each other even more. And that's how you get these kinds of regimes, because you no longer have like the weight and size of the government to keep it together. We did have that in 2016, and it seems like they know that they had it and they are going to try to get rid of it all, because if you're not loyal to Trump, then you're out of here. Well, then that's one fewer person. It's one less person.
Yeah, that's the through line through all of these nominees is loyalty. We should go through a few more.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't put that much here about Tulsi Gabbard because, like, what are we doing here? She's going to be nominated as Director of National Intelligence. She should probably not be privy to all of this intelligence, given that she is let's put it in a way that wouldn't get us sued if anyone listened to this. A person of... She's an apologist for Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad, and there have been some connections with Russian entities in the past.
She seems to only say things that a Vladimir Putin type would want to say, especially regarding war in Ukraine, but just generally seems to reiterate a lot of talking points.
Director of National Intelligence, Elizabeth Jennings from Washington, D.C. Did you guys watch The Americans? Am I making any sense here?
Speaking of fake people on television...
Yeah, perfect transition.
Department of Defense, Pete Hegseth.
So very wild.
If you don't know who Pete Hegseth is, it's not because you haven't been hanging around in Pentagon circles or in Washington. It's because you aren't watching Fox and Friends Weekend, on which he is a host. He was in the Army National Guard. He did tours in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Who wasn't in the National Guard? Come on.
But... he does not have qualifications to lead the biggest bureaucracy on earth.
Aren't the majority, like, people that have held this role in the past are like 4-star generals or people that have an extensive background in the military? There's not all generals, there's some civilians, but...
I mean, and evil war criminals like Donald Rumsfeld.
Absolutely, but it is a wild swing to take someone off of network TV.
Yeah, it's this combination, and it's going to be forever. It's going to be all the time.
Forever?
It's just like...
For 4 years? Forever?
We'll see.
Forever, Cody? Forever?
Just like, that's a tragic mistake. And it's bad for everybody. And that's so stupid.
It's so
How
stupid.
Silly can you get? He's a
Was
Fox
Gutfeld
News
not
host.
available?
Like, my goodness. And that is part of the superpower of getting away with it, because it's just like, you look at it like, well, that's just a joke. You're doing a joke at me right now. You're firing off these jokes at me, but they're real and they're also bad. And I just don't know how we're going to continue absorbing all of this stuff.
Well, he has said that he thinks wokeness and DEI in the military has gone too far. He does not think women should serve in combat roles. He said that last week on a podcast. He said that if he was in charge, because he was just kind of openly musing, he said he would fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Trump said he wanted to do that for a long time, right?
Yeah, General Charles Q. Brown. I think he goes by CQ because his name's Charlie Brown. And the military's just so woke. And he's like, well, we've all served alongside women and they're great. They're great. Women are great. But it's just made it so complicated to serve alongside them. No, this is
you
just
mean all the
scummy,
it
misogynist.
makes it harder because there's all that sexual assault in the military, women in the military. Is that your concern?
Isn't he famous for defending the guy that did the photos with the...
Yes, he has suggested that people who have been in trouble with military leadership or faced court-martials for violent crimes should not have faced those. There's on this podcast, it was very chilling. He was like, well, if the Iranians are storing weapons in their heritage cultural sites, those are fair game. We should destroy those. And then he said, quote, the rules of war are for winners, which is very terrifying.
That is
It's really interesting from the anti-war president.
Well, he isn't it? He's Donald the Dove. Donald the Dove. Yeah, this is again, it's just so absurd on its face and like so transparent what's going on. I really hope people who I'm gonna be nice about right now, who voted for this man and was so willing to believe all of the obvious lies, are paying attention to these sorts of things. This like he's just this like Pete specifically. It's like, okay, so you're absolutely a war hawk. You're a vicious war hawk, neocon ideologically, and your brain's been cooked in Fox News on camera for years. That's a lethal combination. And what a bad decision. Also his weird, like, kind of like Christian nationalisty, like tattoos and stuff. He's got some stuff going on there.
Yeah, that stuff's not great. Like, again,
Yeah, I don't know.
I think the idea is that Pete Hegseth, Trump has watched him on Fox News for years defending him.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Yeah,
that guy was in
for
the
sure.
military and likes me. Done.
And is willing to say and wants to say like these terrible things.
When it comes to Pete Hegseth, we have to like hope that Donald Trump's desire not to get us bogged down in more foreign wars wins out, because he also picks all these people because they'll do exactly what he says. So if Pete Hegseth goes in there and is like, well, we got to bomb Iran, I would really, really hope that the part of Donald Trump that doesn't care about that stuff and doesn't want to get involved in that will say no to him.
But also he probably does want to do that, right? He wants to be a war president. He wants to be a successful war president. That's the thing.
It's so clear that he has such an utter lack of respect for all of these departments. He's like, any fucking person can run this. Anybody can do it. It doesn't matter. Just put someone in there that likes me. But there's no thought about about the actual reality of running a department of the United States government means. Just utter disrespect is what I get from the man.
He's the least American president.
Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. How about that, y'all?
Oh, another neocon. Whoa, no, what? But I was told. The
biggest war hawk, right? Like, it's a joke almost.
China, Iran, like, it's just like here's the thing, and like, we're not going to go back to our original conversation at the very beginning. I have so little patience for this kind of stuff of people like, but he didn't say, but he said, like, everybody was yelling at you, and maybe we shouldn't have yelled, but like, it's so obvious that it was going to go this way. And I just want people to just see it and go, oh, I was conned. I'm going to change all my opinions now.
That's not how things work.
Conversely, it might make them dig in even more.
Oh, interesting.
If I have to put
might.
money on it.
That's a bet that I will not take, Jonathan.
I don't know that everybody is as tuned in and clued into this cast of characters as we are at this moment in time. But boy, I sure hope they pay attention when we get to the actual vetting process and hearings.
We hope that we can highlight these things. And like Katy, you've talked about before, like you plant seeds early on saying, well, he's going to do this, and this is bad, and this is bad, and this is going to how it's going to go.
Around.
And then you're like, maybe I was right about other stuff too, if all this stuff is happening. I just wish that it happened maybe before the election instead of now we have to see it. We already saw it. We were precogging all over the place. We already saw it. We didn't need it to happen to prove it. We got the dog shooter in the Homeland Security. Yeah. Had to mention that. That's completely expected. Like joke about like, oh, it's like Marjorie Taylor Greene would be a great Secretary of Education for a lot of reasons. It's like that's the choice, right? It's like her or Boebert. Or like Chaya Raichik would be like the real Hail Mary for them.
Wow!
Don't even joke about that shit. Don't put that word back in your mouth. Put it back in your mouth.
A long shot bet, but I bet plus 1,200.
You
can get some decent odds on.
I could. It's her or Marjorie Taylor Greene, because they also want to get rid of the department. So you put somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene in who believes like so many things that you can't learn in school because they're not true, and then she's gonna just let it DeVos.
And as awful as Betsy DeVos was, she resigned immediately after January 6th in disgust.
Oh.
So I don't think Trump's going to reach back out.
Maybe you'd want somebody who like really, 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 really liked January 6th. Maybe somebody who wanted to participate in January 6th even more than they did. Maybe somebody like that would be good in that position instead of the one who resigned because of it. Slippity sloppity, here comes the talkity. Holidays are coming, and I sure love a good nog, but I also like taking care of my gut health. So why not make a nice nog out of AG1? Put some milk and spice and nutmeg in here. Give it to the family. In fact, right now, AG1 is running a special Black Friday offer for all of November. AG1 is a daily health drink packed with nutrients to help alleviate bloating, support sustained energy, and whole body health. I'll drink it faster than a steaming nog on my lips. It's down in here now. So this holiday season, try AG1 for yourself. Or even gift it to someone special. It's the perfect time to focus on supporting your body with an easy and surprisingly delicious daily health drink. And that's why I've been partnering with AG1 for so long. Every week of November, AG1 will be running a special Black Friday offer for a free gift with your first subscription, in addition to the welcome kit with vitamin D3 plus K2. So make sure to check out drinkag1.com/more news to see what gift you can get this week. That's drinkag1.com/more news to start your holiday season off on a healthier note while supplies last. We are noggin. It's gone.
It's Department of Government Efficiency. Elon and Vivek are going to co-head this non-department because the president can, and I'm sure Trump found this out after the election, the 100%. President can't just create government agencies. Congress has to do that. And he's like, I won. Isn't the Constitution gone yet? And they're like, well, not yet. You have to put some work in. So they're going to either get funding or pay for it themselves to do this, like to create a report by the semi-quincentennial, July 4th, 2026, where they're going to release a report that's like, get rid of this department, get rid of the FDA or whatever. Vivek online said, we got to get rid of all of this funding where money was appropriated decades ago, and those appropriations have since expired. But that includes a lot of valuable stuff that people rely on, like veterans affairs and veterans health care. Just because it's expired and is still going doesn't mean that it's waste.
Yeah, not a real government agency, since only Congress can create those. And we do. We already have the Government Accountability Office. This, I'm going to go out on a limb, doesn't seem efficient. Two people in charge of a new department that can actually be created, and there's already a department that does this. Not the most efficient use of energy, also of time, resources, any of it. Also, I'm sorry, how many companies does Elon supposedly run?
Well, he's too busy playing. He's too busy getting the top 20 Diablo 4 players in the globe, which is a true thing about him. Yes, he is.
He plays that much?
He plays that much. Yes, he does.
Man, I work too much. I really should become the CEO of 6 companies. So that
then you'll free up time to play Diablo 4.
Highly recommend it for your schedule.
It's just these 2 clowns, the 2 biggest clowns you can imagine.
Well, also it's interesting. Like
Matt
I keep coming back to Matt Gaetz. I keep coming back to, like, not to lib out, but like it's like when Michael and Jim were co-managers on The Office. It is like that. We'll see how long Elon lasts. Honestly, we can talk about that a little bit, but like it's interesting because Elon and Vivek are 2 unique people who have very off-putting personalities in different ways, and they're both 2 of the most narcissistic people in like politics or in the public eye right now. Vivek ran for president. Like, that's a broken brain you have. You tried to run for president. Unbelievable. And then you have Elon Musk, and like those 2 people like working it out and like being normal and like doing this job together just doesn't sound likely, I guess, is my point. Not like, aside from like it's 2 people doing it, those two people.
I honestly don't know how any sort of a working relationship between Trump and Elon is long lasting at all.
He's the first buddy.
They're just too. They're going to be. Their egos are going to bash up against each other. And do you think Trump's okay with him being richer than him? I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
They both need attention too much, and I agree with you, Katie. I think Trump's like, this guy's got more money than me, and he wants to like put his hands up and get applause when he walks into a room. Not in my gaudy hotel in Florida, you don't.
Very clearly wants to be the president. And Donald Trump's the president now, buddy, and he doesn't want you to do that. It's going to be...
He just wanted you to win the election for him.
Exactly. It's going to be a long time. He's already joked out loud several times about how he can't get rid of Elon because he helped him win. That tells me he wants to get rid of Elon because he's obnoxious and he doesn't want him running the government with him. And there's a world where, because I do think, and we'll talk about this so much more in upcoming episodes and this show too. The mass deportation thing is one of the worst things to prepare for. It's going to be so bad. Instantly, all these private prison companies were like, yes, finally. Like, they're salivating for this. The only way to do this is to get rid of due process, which is against the Constitution, and just kick them out, or due process, which takes a long time and will require building all these facilities. We'll talk about it. My part of my hope is that enough people will see it actually happen who thought like, oh, they were just signs. They were merely holding signs up that said mass deportations now, and they didn't think through like, what would that involve? What would that mean?
What does that look like? What does that cost?
Like all the things that are going to be bad about it, and just like seeing all these pictures and videos over and over of like, oh my God, look at these the children and the way, like everything. The hope is that enough people will actually see it and realize what has happened. And I think that, just generally politically, there's swing back all the time. Like, okay, right's in charge. Okay, now the left is like, has this wave coming back. And so there's going to be a lot of like liberal leftist, like leaning, like resurgence, one hopes, and people realizing and leaving the party, as it were. And Elon's also going to get fired by Donald Trump. And that's going to be a really nasty falling out. And Elon Musk does not like anything remotely like that. And I think there is a small possibility that Elon will think that he has the permission structure to go against Donald Trump and become like, actually, after having worked with him, he's not a good person, and this is not who we want in charge. Like, there's a world where Elon takes all his resentment and spite from getting kicked to the curb by Donald Trump, which is going to happen,
for sure,
and channels it and tries to be like, actually, I'm more Democrat than ever now that I've seen who he
or
really
I'm
is.
the future of the Republican Party or something.
We can't let him do that, but like there's a small chance he's going to try to do that because he'll think, oh, the tide is turning against him. Now it's okay for me to do this.
We'll see this drama unfold. Oh, I hate this so much. I fucking hate that we're having this conversation. And this guy's going to suck all the oxygen out of... We got to talk about other things for a while. We got to talk about things we'd like. And anyway.
And
sorry,
we will refocus. We will try not to get bogged down by this stuff. If you're listening and you're like, God, guys, stop. We're going to try to tamp down on it. It's an onslaught.
The only thing right this week that we can. But, well, actually, that's not true.
I have never been on this podcast when Joe Biden was not the president. So it's going to be a very weird shift when it's all of a sudden Donald Trump the president, and we're not just like, this loser. But I like to jump on something you just said, Cody. By the end of his term, and I know there's a lot of up in the airs about are they going to get rid of the 22nd Amendment, whatever. He is a American president, which means by the end of this term, he will be unpopular.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Even if he doesn't do all the stuff, he's going to screw up enough stuff and people's lives aren't going to be notably better and they're not going to have more money in their pockets, whatever. Especially if he does the tariff stuff, which I assume they will talk him out of because it will make him less popular.
Yeah.
His popularity will tank. And we can count on that. And we kind of danced around it last week. It's just so brutal because there's so much that will happen between now and then that will take a long time to clean up the mess. I don't want to be fatalist, but like, it's going to fucking suck. And at the end of it, he won't be liked by at least a lot of the people that did vote for him, but probably there will be, of course, the people that will continue to.
Well, he's a cult leader, and they're in a cult, so like, yeah,
like those are the people that we're not trying. But there are other people that are going to. And immediately, I've already said this. I know this pissed off Cody. I already got something from somebody here that was like,
it did piss me off. You're right.
I know, and I understand why it does piss me off too. But I felt like, yes. A little validated.
I mean, it's good.
But I will explain this interaction now, which was, talking about deportations and the argument being like, there's no way he's not going to deport that many people. And then it was, I think I was too quick to say that. I think that you're probably right. And, and I was like, have you looked up how much it costs? Like, and I hate to go to that argument, but it's an effective one with a certain type of voter. And it's like, it is very expensive. And I'm like, so what's the through line? If we can't do that, what happens? Where do we put people that we need to make a stand? And Cody's rightfully pissed off, but I also was like, this is literally what I'm talking about when I say I want to be able to have these conversations and say like, yeah, that's what I was saying.
I would like to say 10 days too late, buddy. My gosh, it's only been 10 days.
This person's not regretting their vote yet, but they, so I can't say that. But a sobering moment of, I see that.
And that is, I think, right, you're saying like indicative of like people are going to see that they've been conned a second time by the same man, and these things are actually going to be bad. But I do want to sort of just say, like, reiterate, I guess, we are going to try to not get bogged down by like you said, like, Katie, you're like, the drama, and then you're like, I hate this, like the palace intrigue and like all the leaked reports and stuff. Like, there's a lot of noise always. Especially with him, and I think we will try to focus on the things that are the signal through that noise.
But if before we go, I can bring up one bit of palace intrigue that just
for it.
came out.
Oh yeah,
we love it. Yeah.
Some Republican senators have said that they would like to see the House Ethics Committee's report on Matt Gaetz before they vote during the confirmation process. That report has not leaked yet. But what has leaked is that the House Ethics Committee did interview the woman at the center of the probe who confirmed that when she was 17, all these articles say had sex with her when she was 17 years old. I think we would call it something different.
He raped her. Yeah.
That's what the report is going to say, of course.
There that is.
Whatever, 70-some million people just voted for a rapist, but...
Yeah,
but when the rapist is not Donald Trump, like Gaetz might think he's invincible.
Maybe it matters.
He is not. No one is but him.
No one is but him. That is true. It sucks that he is, but no one is but him. It's that maddening thing where it's like, this is the stuff that you said you cared about. You
right.
What do you believe? Who knows? Not much, apparently.
We should probably wrap this up. But a lot of people are leaving Twitter for Blue Sky, so that's cool. I just ended that on a little upswing here, right? Fun little
yeah, it's
bit.
nice mostly.
And the Onion owns InfoWars now.
I mean,
The Onion does own
that's
InfoWars.
the best one.
We didn't even talk about that.
We didn't, but boy, I cheered. I
Congratulations.
That was a fun little bit.
The funniest thing that's ever happened.
It is truly spectacular, and I wish I'd had the money and the thought to do that.
Just like taking because the whole process was like, this is a really good thing that's happening. It's an important case, and it was won, and like the justice started to happen, and that's really good. And then it somehow also got to be an extremely funny thing. You got both. Oh, that's so great. I can't they did it. Justice. Oh my God. That's the funniest thing that could have happened. And we rarely get both. We do get a lot of tragedy and hilarious, stupid things, but we don't always get the positive ones.
Yeah. And, well, this one does also include tragedy, but it's a whole arc here. And I think that is a great place to end it. I hope you guys enjoyed that bit of news when you saw it in your feeds this morning or right now when we told you, and go look it up because it's great. And we did it. We're at the end of this episode. And it was good, I think. And there's going to be more of this. So much more.
We think, yeah.
More of the podcast, I guess. We're not. This isn't the last episode.
No.
It's not the last episode.
It's the first
couldn't get that sentence out.
episode of
You're
the
doing
rest
great,
of the
Jonathan.
episodes.
This is a good moment to end. We're good. Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your
And
support.
I said it earlier, but I'm going to say it again because
Say
that's
it.
how much I mean it. We love you very much.
Much.